Hey, house guests, welcome back to the House of Chatter. I have a new theory. Listen to this. So, as we know, Blake Lively is trying very hard to subpoena the internet. She wants to go after the internet like Amber Heard went after the internet, right? So, in Amber Heard's case, she actually got some information from social media about, her version of a smear campaign or defamation online or whatever she was trying to get at. She was able to have someone analyze social media, and it was found that some of the posts, I've heard different numbers from different witnesses, so I'm going to take it with a grain of salt and arrange, because in my mind, that's how it kind of works in my head to make sense of everything. They mentioned numbers like 6% or 25% out of a million posts that were analyzed about Amber Heard. So they said that they were able to identify a percent or amount of posts related to one party. They related that one party to Johnny Depp. I believe it was his attorney who said that Amber was a hoax and everything was a hoax and her whole story was a hoax. And that caught fire on social media. Now, the reason why I say this is, we all know about Van Sham and the Doe lawsuit, right? And it was curious the way that she wrote it, because of course you would want to know who was smearing you if you have a contract, right? Or a relationship, so you should know, right? So I was just online looking at this new subpoena between Megyn Kelly and it was Megyn Kelly and now I can't even remember, Sourced Intelligence LLC, right? So they're doing Sourced Intelligence is a private investigation company working with the lawyers on Baldoni's team on what I don't know. Someone said that it might have to do with Van Sham. So if it has to do with Van Sham, this is my angle, and I'm so sorry for my ADD. I just got this thought and I had to get it down. So Blake Lively needs an Amber Heard incident. Blake Lively needs an anchor for these allegations of defamation and blah, 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 and affected her brand and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? How is she going to get that if it's an untraceable campaign? Well, you would have to sue a Doe. Jonesworks and Stephanie Jones actually has a case going on in California between Pinterest and Meta. She is going after Does, or those who think are Does, to unmask what she calls a defamatory website posting or whatever on social media, and she wants to go after that person because she feels like it's defamatory. So the California court surprisingly granted Jones's subpoena for Meta, but denied it for Pinterest. And he approved it for Meta despite First Amendment concerns, because the First Amendment does not give you the license or the free will to go and slander or libel someone. I can say, I think that the president is not doing a good job and maybe he should be replaced, but I can't say, on national television, the president defrauded America because he hired Elon Musk to hack the voting machines and they changed all of the votes and whatever. Or here's a better case, since we're talking about Blake Lively and her lawyers. Her lawyers represented the two women that were involved in the defamation case against Rudy Giuliani in the election. I want to call it stealing the election, but that whole debacle, right? Rudy Giuliani said that they're passing around thumbsticks, right? Passing around thumbsticks to disrupt the machines, to disrupt the voting or whatever, right? But really what they were passing were mints. And all of this controversy caused them to lose their jobs. They had to go into hiding. They were harassed. They had death threats, and rightfully so. Those two women sued Giuliani, and those two women were represented by the same law firm that Blake Lively has chosen. And I believe Blake Lively has chosen that because it's about the First Amendment. And she knows it, right? So let's go back to Stephanie Jones in California. Since California said, hey, yeah, because you're being defamed, and you made this accusation, you're able to unmask this website developer, person, creator, whoever. And it turns out it was her own employee. So Blake needs an anchor like Amber Heard had an anchor, and she can't find one on social media because there is no documented libel slander on a piece of paper, signed or anything by Jed Wallace. There's nothing. There's nothing there. There's no text message. There's nothing. I can tell you right now from personal experience, I have a virtual assistant. He works with me. He provides me content, and he can do whatever on the internet. If I need more views on a TV show or something, I'll get it. I can ask him and somehow it just pops up. If I need a post to be boosted, somehow he does it and it gets going. Because I sell off-market real estate. And I need posts boosted. I need likes. I need the algorithm to work in my favor for visibility. The same way that Blake Lively needs social media to work in her favor to sell magazines, hair care products, booze, mocktails, and whatever else she has. But she doesn't have an anchor like Amber Heard. Amber Heard was able to trace things back to a single statement. Blake Lively has not been able to do that, so she needs a content creator to anchor her. She needs a content creator to anchor her so she can attach it to Jed Wallace or Justin Baldoni's team, and that's going to be another video because I found some juicy tidbits on Hollywood gossip and how things get spread. But she still needs an anchor. So, if in California, a subpoena to a Jane Doe, a whoever, we don't know who it is, no name possible, question mark person, and that gets approved because there were evidence of defamation with this website, does that mean that Lively's team can take that example to federal court, to Judge Lyman, and say California did it? And since we're playing by, I believe we're California rules, right? Then she should be able to subpoena whatever social media star is an anchor or content creator. And Megyn Kelly obviously is not one of them. Candace Owens isn't one of them. Lauren Knighty isn't one of them. The Tilted Lawyer isn't one of them. We can go down the list. The Bushbirds ain't one of them. That's for sure. That's for sure. But Perez Hilton showed up on documents. Could he be the anchor? Maybe she took a page from Amber Heard because it was Johnny Depp's lawyer that was tied to the smear campaign for her, she alleges. Personally, I just think that I will tell you my thoughts after. But anyways, if California was able to grant that Doe subpoena, I honestly believe Blake Lively has a stronger chance of succeeding in the Doe lawsuit because Stephanie Jones was successful. And that kind of sucks for California. I don't know why Meta or Pinterest, I just don't know. It seems odd, but that's where the anchor is. That's what the judge thought. So Lively has more ammunition to go after social media now, in my opinion. So my second thought on that is, yes, I do think that Blake Lively might use this as a reason for subpoenaing so many people. But I also think that this is her only way to get to trial, to get to the Amber Heard status. Otherwise, it's just going to fall apart. And yeah, she will have absolutely nothing. Her career, though I believe it will recover because of who she's married to, but the legal expenses, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Is maybe she's in too deep. She has to finish it, and she has to be successful at finishing it, so she's not stuck with hundreds of millions of dollars, because it's got to be a lot of money, because I can't imagine how much it would cost to fly lawyers from DC and New York to Las Vegas for one person. I mean, if you really needed the information, couldn't you do a consult with the lawyer? So you would just do like, hey, you go in for me, and then I'll call you afterwards and I'll discuss with these two other ones. That way I can save you money on airfare and whatever. But now it's like, hey, there's this opportunity to go to Las Vegas. Let's just jump on this plane so we can argue for an hour against Perez Hilton. And that's another video. I really do think that her lawyers at this point, they are also trying to find that anchor. Because if they can't find the anchor, would they be liable for like attorney misconduct? Like, we all are looking at Blake like, okay, you're on this tear, but what about the other side? Are the lawyers on this tear too? Because maybe they realize that Blake Lively lied, and now they have to cover her tracks and their tracks and everybody else's tracks. And now it's this huge conspiracy and you can't stop, and there's nothing you can do but get rich or die trying, so to speak. Because look at this. If Blake Lively fails, which we all know that she probably is, she's going to get stuck with hundreds of millions of dollars in legal fees, right? And then she's going to get mad and say, hey, law firm, what in the heck? Why did this happen? And then it's going to be in the media. And they're not going to look like the big bad law firm that took down Rudy Giuliani. They're going to look like the law firm that bankrupted Ryan and Blake. How do you get over that? They're going to look like they attacked the First Amendment for money, because they were so greedy and they didn't care about justice. They cared about money. And I think that theory is what I'm going to roll with. They have to find an anchor in social media to explain the defamation claims, to explain away the sales, to explain away the backlash. They need an anchor. Otherwise, everybody's going down with this ship. And with the jester beating the court, Blake Lively is going to get laughed out of it. Guarantee you. Just like Amber Heard. But Blake Lively has a better chance of recovery than Amber Heard does. But yeah, this is all about Van Sham. This is all about social media anchor. And this is all learning from Amber Heard and the Johnny Depp trial. Well, that's my thoughts for tonight. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, share, argue. Give me another point of view, anything. Give me your feedback. I'd love to hear it. What do you think? Does she need an anchor, or is she just purposely on a tear?